Namibia is full of amazing people, whether local or visiting. Join us for The Conversation, where we discuss these incredible projects, interesting topics, and what makes Namibia so special. Welcome to another episode of The Conversation with Gondwana Collection Namibia. Today we have someone very special, and when he opens his mouth, I think you're going to hear that he's not from the south of Namibia. Mr. David Dudley, someone who I would need to introduce to our audience, but we will absolutely need no introduction. To our friends from the USA, a very well-known, a very accomplished, one of the most accomplished bass fishermen and professional fishermen, in the US, and we're so lucky to have you here on the leather couch today. David, welcome to Namibia and welcome to Gondwana Collection Namibia.
Thank you. Good to be here. It's definitely a culture shock to me to see something different from what I'm used to in the United States. So it has been a blast the whole time I've been here. I'm
so glad to hear that. Is it your first time in Namibia?
First time. And it won't be my last. I can guarantee you that.
I love to hear that. That is good news. David, tell us just, in your own words, just your own background and your story.
I grew up with fishing has always been in our background in our family, and that's in my blood. Ever since I was 5 years old, I used to answer the phone, Bassmasters Classic Champion, may I help you? So I had a vision and a dream from a young age, and I do everything from pedal my bike to any time I could get around water. I don't care if it was a little creek or a lake or pond. It was all focused. And I truly was focused at a young age. It won't just playtime for me. It was like, no, I know what I want to do in life, and I'm going. And it was so weird growing up because you'd tell people, oh, what you want to be when you grow up. And, I'm like, I'm going to be a professional bass fisherman. Oh, get that, good little dream. They pat you on the back, like, nice, yeah. Okay, yeah. And it was like, no, I'm going to do this. That's what I want to do. So my parents were very supportive, and, I worked my way up to the professional side by the age of 19. Set a lot of records, in young, and I am now second in the world in all-time money leading in totals, and I've got lots of titles, and so I've had a very blessed life, focused life, and enjoying every minute of it. What do they say? What's the term? It says choose a job that you enjoy and never work a day in your life. That's me. I feel like I've never worked a day in my life.
I am jealous. I promise you. It sounds phenomenal, and we are lucky to have you in our beautiful Namibia. And what brought you here?
So I met a man, Jurgen. Is that right? Yeah. All right, we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with that.
Jurgen Geiger. It's close enough.
Right. So I'm on the USA Bass Olympic team, and we had an event where all these countries come in, and it's so cool to meet anglers from different parts of the world. Well, I met Jurgen from Africa, and he invited me to come. And typically when people invite you to come, they always feel like you're being nice. Come on and visit it. And you shake your head. You're like, yeah, that's across the world. I might come to you. And then I ran into him at another event, and he showed me some pictures of this beautiful country. And, of course, we talked fishing, we talked hunting, and I was like, that is absolutely stunning, gorgeously beautiful. And I said, when is the best time to come? And he told me July. Here I am. I'm excited, and it has been an absolute blast going around seeing culture of all kinds, like just from fishing to hunting to just seeing some native people. It has been a blast.
I love that, and I think Namibia has got so much to offer, and for some strange reason we still a bit of a hidden gem. I think people generally when they come to Namibia they are surprised. And David, so you flew up to Katima Malilu, and then you spent time on the Zambezi.
Yeah, the Zambezi is absolutely gorgeous. Lots of fish. I could not believe how many species we were able to catch. Tons of fishing there. And I can tell you this, I've been to many, many places. In the States, we have lots of places to fish, but I've never seen something so gorgeous as it is in the Namibian River. Namibian River. Yeah. And just seeing culture, life, fish. It's so abundant of life. And that's one of the things that struck me is just how much life is out there. Whether it's seeing crocodiles or seeing hippopotamuses or, just life in general or just nature in general, it is a hidden gem. And I wish more people knew about it because this will not be my last trip here.
I love that. David, and the fishing itself, how did it go?
The fishing itself, when I first got here, I'm like, when people tell you things hey, come on, fishing's great. I've had that my whole life. Come fish here, it's good. Come fish here, it's good. And you're like, okay. But when we got here, the fishing has been fantastic. It is a hidden gem of what you have here. It's phenomenal.
And forgive my ignorance, I'm not the specialist in the room. But from an equipment perspective, is it similar? Is it completely different?
So one of the things that I liked when I got here, we're not dealing with like oversized equipment when we're going out fishing, like equipment that you would use, say, offshore. Everything is kind of similar related to as a bass fisherman. We're using basically bass fishing gear to catch these abundance of fish. So I was very familiar with the gear that we used. The gear that we used was top notch. I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie. I was a little worried coming from overseas. Am I going to have good equipment? Are my guides going to be a good guide? Or, those questions always are going to run through your head. But the guides, the equipment, everything has been A+ top shape.
Love it. And technique? Is it the same?
Technique, actually, I was surprised. The technique of bass fishing is similar to a lot of the fishing we do here, that we did here. I felt right at home. Being a bass fisherman, which in the States, bass fishing is it's the number one sought after fish. So more people in the States bass fish. If they're thinking about coming over and you already bass fish, you're going to fit right at home because that's exactly the way I did when I got here.
Beautiful. And David, I love how you point out the abundance of life up on the river.
Mm-hmm.
We work very closely with the local communities. With the Chikunga fish guards, you will notice that David is kind. We gave him a Gondwana Care Trust cap, which he's wearing, and through our non-profit, working with the Chikunga fish guards to also protect that resource, for future generations and for adventurers like yourself, on a catch and release basis. So that is beautiful, and I'm very glad to hear that you enjoyed it. But you've only seen a very small part of Namibia. It is a vast country, and as I understand that you will get to go out into the bush a little bit, but you won't get to our shore for salt fishing, for shore fishing, or will you?
Yeah, I'm trying to follow you. So yeah. So no, I'm not going to have enough time to make it to the shore to do some saltwater fishing. But I can only imagine that if it's even remotely like the river is, the shore is going to be the same thing. And that's probably going to drive me to come back again. Like I want to come to the saltwater area. It's exciting to see the fisheries here. And I think what happens is when you're in the States, you get comfortable with what right? You get comfortable with the lakes, the fish that you have, but stepping outside of your comfort zone and saying, hey, I'm going to fly across, felt like the world, but I'm going to fly across and I'm going to go live my life in a way that a bucket list, something that I want to do. And when I was invited to come over here, that was one of the driving forces. And I think if more people would take that initiative and say, hey, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. I want to experience something I've never experienced. Like, for example, like we're going around, and the first herd of hippopotamuses that I see, if I'm saying that right, I was like, what's that? What's that? But to the native people here, it's like, it's cool. But to me, like that's a lifetime thing. Like I'm looking and I'm hearing them grunt and I'm hearing them call. I'm hearing them just make all kinds of noise. And then, of course, the guides here started educating you. Like it was almost like going on a safari tour. That's what I mean. The river is so full of life, and the guides were so cool to educate me. Hey, once I saw the hip, they're like, hey, let's go see some crocodiles. And then even while we're drifting down the river, they're constantly teaching me they taught me about, we saw hippopotamus lanes where they go up and feed at night. It was a very educational, not alone fishing, but it was very educational for me to learn coming out of my comfort zone of what I knew. And I'm telling you, this trip is something of a lifetime.
You said you'll come back. I read online you have 5 children.
Yes.
Are they adventurous like their daddy?
They are. My kids are so awesome. I tell people they're wild in a healthy way. Cool. I could take a helicopter and drop them out in the middle of this bush and put my head on a pillow at night and be like, my kids are okay. They can forage, they can hunt. My kids can process game animal quicker than any adult. So my kids are awesome. I wish they were here to experience it with me, but yes, they are phenomenal kids.
Well, listening to that, I think this country was made for your children. I think we are, we pride ourselves on being a real family destination, in terms of safety, in terms of facilities, activities, accommodation. So I hope, and I hope they will watch this so that next time they can keep you to a promise to bring them along when you come again.
Yeah, one of the things that the guides was telling me that was so cool is he's like, hey, if we get time, that's the thing. It's like, I want to encourage everybody that when you schedule your time, if you think 5 days is good enough, go ahead and schedule 2 more, because you're going to experience have an opportunity to do a lot more. And the guides were telling me about places that we could go look at elephant. To me, what are they called? The monkeys. Bamboo. We could go, a lot of things that we're not accustomed to. So I had the opportunity they said, hey, if you want to go see an abundance of wild animals, we could have went and done that. So encouraging you that I only allowed 7 days, and 7 days is not enough. It's not, because I want to go every day and experience something new here. And it's been a blast.
I think it's very good advice. If people come from so far, bring time along.
Yeah.
It really is a destination that there's always more to see and more to do, and more to experience. I think that is the most important, and I think that is very important. I love your concept of, because it's not only, like you said, in America, you're in a comfort zone and you don't expand your horizon. I think it's a human thing, that we don't, similar for us in terms of where you come from, for humanity and just for people to travel more and to experience different cultures, different ways of being, different landscapes. I think I need to embrace that more, all of us.
Absolutely. I think, one of the biggest sport in the world, from the stats that I know, the biggest sport in the world is actually fishing. And what they did was they did a study on whether a family went fishing one time or somebody picked up a rod one time versus somebody shooting a basketball. Fishing is the largest sport and participated sport in the world. So there's a lot of common grounds when it comes to that. And again, when you when you get in the comfort zone and you have a passion for fishing and coming outside of that comfort zone, it is, it's something that you just have to do. Like you don't want to live through life and not experience something that's always that little tick, right? That little tick. I want to, and you see things on TV, or you may watch things, through the internet, and yet that little tick. And I'll tell you this, is that one of the things I was concerned about, okay, I was like, I'm going to Africa, right? I'm like, oh, Lordy, am I going to be out in the bush? Yes. Like bush. Am I going to be getting eat up by bugs? And am I going to be sleeping on a mud, cot or something? My mind was going 100 miles an hour, and I was, a little uptight about it. But when I got to the lodge, oh my gosh, the lodge was phenomenal. And that's when I just went, I could relax. Not to say that I can't sleep on a mud floor. I can do that. But to see the amenities at the lodge that we're at, overlooking the river, having a comfortable place, running water, showers, it was phenomenal. And that alone would be, again, a big driving force to where I'm going to come visit again. Like I'm comfortable with those amenities. If I'm going in the bush, I kind of want those amenities. And to have that available to me was very relaxing and put me at a stressless state of mind.
And I think that is, and you're not the first person to tell me that. We're very, very proud of the Zambezi Mobile Lodge and the facilities that we have up there. But people, and we can do marketing all over the world in the USA, but people will not necessarily believe us. But when David Dudley comes and he's experiencing it for himself, that is the clincher. That is where they say, oh, but we know David. We've been following David for a while. Yeah. He's been there. He enjoyed it, And I think that unlocks many, many opportunities. And like you said, I really love how you say in terms of that mindset. It unlocks that mindset. That thing that niggles here. Take that step and just widen your horizons.
Yeah. Again, anytime in life in general, when you got that tick, that constant little reminder, and you're thinking about it, that to me in life is something that you have to turn around and face it, right? And if more people would just turn around and face that tick and say, I'm going to silence the tick, which means I'm going.
Absolutely.
I'm going to silence that tick and I'm going. You don't want to live life. You don't want to live life with the what ifs.
100%.
What if I would have went over there and caught some tigerfish? What if I would have went and caught some nimue? Male or female nimue. But that was an inside joke.
That's
Cut, splice, whatever. That was an inside joke. But anyways, coming overseas and catching nimue or there's so many fish to catch. That's what's exciting about coming here. And it's silencing that tick. And people need to just silence the tick and take the initiative. Come over here and experience what I've experienced. They will be going back to the States saying the same thing.
Cool. My colleague said I must ask you this question.
Uh-oh.
They asked me about, you must please give us, your opinion of like you would say, Jürgen Geiger's fishing skills.
Jürgen's fishing skills, man, that's a deep question. I don't even know how much time we have for that. But Jürgen's fishing skills are par. Like they are. And I'm a professional, and I get to fish with a lot of different anglers, but his skill level is right there on a professional level. I've had a blast in the boat with him. I've had a fun time. He knows this river system very well, and which anytime these guys know a river system, it makes fishing easy, and we had a blast catching fish.
Cool.
Even though he lost every bet. Oh, you turning red over there?
I'm
You might be.
David Dudley, Thank you so much. Thank you for your kindness and your kind words to our country, to Gondwana. Thank you for your time. And you know, my biggest wish is when you get on that plane in a few days' time, that tick will be back.
Oh,
you know, reminding you to come back and hopefully bring your children as well.
So the tick now is saying, look at your calendar. When are you coming back? Look at your calendar. When are you? Because I've already asked some other people that I've met through Geiger, just talking to them about culture, just things that I can experience. And they're like, you got to come back in December to do this. You got to come back in November. And I'm already looking at my calendar going, I could do that. I could do that. So, yes, I've had a blast here. This will not be my last time. I will be back more than this one trip. And thank you for having me. And hopefully we can make this very repetitive throughout the year.
That'll be our honor to host you and to welcome you again when you come. And thank you once again for being here. You know where I wanted to go? I wanted to go to Namibia.
Namibia. There has been more banter in this boat. We kind of are three peas in a pod. We're like the three amigos, man. When I first got here, I didn't know how to read them, you know, And then after a little while, I started letting loose a little bit, and they're like, he does have some banter in him. And then it was like, okay, we gonna turn that loose right now. He actually said something that thought it was kind of funny, but you could take a spin off of this in anywhere you're at. We had a big fire going, you know, not looking at phones, just nature, right, at night, and we're just relaxed there at the lodge, and he goes, that's an African TV.
Yeah.
And it just it hit me hard, because it was like, because you do, when you watch, it's just like watching TV, you just stare at a fire. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And he's like, that's an African TV. And I was like, so simple in the sentence, but so powerful.
100%.
It goes along with what you said. Absolutely. You know, just that, just the fire.
Gents, thank you so much for your time. David, really nice.
Yep.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
And please come back.
I hope to.